working, half are not working, on and off watches, and we're moving around freely in the fresh air. Whether you're working or not, we've got our free will to run about the ship as we wish. So for us, it was no more crowded or less crowded than any other bit of sailing. But instead of freight down here, it was 102 of them. For them, it was more crowded, you can imagine. Bedding all over the decking, wherever it could be put down. A manger up in the bow held their beasts, pigs and goats and hens, a couple of dogs. The shallop, the boat tied alongside, was broken down. 33-foot long it was, stowed down here in 4 great sections as well. Wasn't hardly room to move around at all down here. And all dark as night, of course. All this sealed up against the weather. We've got it open now. Gun doors are open, hatches are open. Well, we're trying to rid the deck of the stench of them down here. But on the crossing, it was all sealed up against the weather. There was no light and fresh air. It was a miserable place.
Is the vessel owned by the investors that set up the...
Oh, not at all, Master. We're just a local coastal freighter. Would happen to be idle, available at the docks in London. And then financiers, they call them, what do they speculate? Merchant adventurers. That's who put up all the money for these settlers, for they got no money of their own. Those men, they've paid the owners of Mayflower, Jones the captain and his 3 partners, some lump sum of money to make the round of it. And Jones and his partners must have looked at it and said, well, whatever they're being paid, and I imagine it's £300 or £400, I don't know, but that's more than they'd make in 5 months of local traffic. So they sent us off on this adventure.
1 trip charter.
Yeah, just so. Yeah, we're not part of this adventure at all. We simply brought them here. We got more sense than to stay.
How many people sleep on one of those little islands?
Well, the families that could afford it, they brought wood on and made these little cabins themselves. Bear in mind, Mayflower's a freighter. Normally this deck's filled up with barrels of things like wine or wheat or cloth goods and such. So it was usually just wide open down here, and our ship's captain told them, if you could afford wood, you could bring it on and make little cabins as you like. Now, some of them, they've bought new wood, you can see, and wood is quite expensive at home. Some, the cabins back aft, they have bought out of scraps of wood out of their house and all used wood. But I would say there was 5 or 6 of these cabins up and down the edges, and each one for a family. A mother and father on bedding up top, and yourself and any brothers and sisters all on bedding in underneath them. So a whole family, depending on the number of children, in each one of these little cabins on the edges, and then the families that could not afford the wood, and 30 men who've come by themselves, they just put ticking beds, a canvas bag